Has anyone ever felt like you were so close to something and then it didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out? I honestly didn't want to put this story out. I honestly didn't want to talk about, I do talk about my life, but I don't go into details if you want to count that when I used to like post my videos. So, um, here goes. About a couple months back, I was working at my old job, which I won't name. I was working at my old job and I decided that I wanted to apply for an apartment. Mind you, I was nervous, and this is something I manifested. I manifested this. I applied for an apartment, and at the time, I had went to stay with my mom for a bit. And in the time that I applied for the apartment, I was waiting. It was a whole bunch of stuff that was happening that, made me feel as if though I don't care if she sees this honestly, but I'm gonna just be honest because it's like two parts of the story. So it didn't go as planned because I ended up leaving where I am now to go there and it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. But in the process of that, I did put my best foot forward and I decided to finally apply and get my own place. Within that time period, I did get my own place. I did get approved for my own place. I got approved. The first approval was from the landlord, and then I had to get approved from the actual agency. So I got approved for the place, and I was thinking everything was going good, but then something happened to where I ended up losing my job. And I lost my job because I fell asleep. Now I know y'all gonna say in the comments, that's your fault. I was physically exhausted, and I know I was physically exhausted. I was very tired, and it was a reason for my exhaustion. It wasn't because I wasn't getting enough rest. And it was hard for me because I was very stressed out. And at this time I wasn't taking any of my medication, not because I was going on a strike, but I just wasn't taking my medication. And it was so much stuff that was on my mind. And while the place that I was living at with my mother, it wasn't working out. And we had disagreements, and there was just certain things that I didn't like, and I just wasn't agreeing with it. And I didn't want to be in that situation anymore. And so, I made the mistake and I own up to that, which is something I did with them too when they let me go. In the time of me losing my job, I didn't feel as if though I felt like everything was crashing down. After I lost my job, I was like, what am I going to do? Because I don't have any type of source of income. I ended up receiving my last check and it wasn't enough. And I didn't do what I was supposed to do, which I should have been prepared. I should have, was putting money to the side, but I'm always the person who spends money more than actually saves it. So I didn't do that. And I ended up getting close to about a rack and some change. However, it came out to be 3,000 something to actually move into the place. Mind you, the the guy, he told me, he said, I'm gonna well, not the landlord, the leasing agent, I want to say, is that what you call him? He said, I'm gonna keep in touch with you and let you know. Mind you, he told me from the beginning that it would take about 3 months in order for them to actually approve me to get into the place anyway. So I felt like I had enough time. No, I ended up contacting him and wondering when was I actually going to move into it. I was really excited. I was happy I got approved for my own apartment. I was like, I did the work. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm being an adult. And what ended up happening was he ended up contacting me literally in between that time because I was applying to jobs. I was making sure that I needed a source of income. I needed something. I was applying to jobs, doing interviews, doing everything in my power to do what I could, right? So I could start working. Child. He told me how it was gonna come out. I'm thinking to myself, that's not a lot. That's actually pretty good because I was supposed to make I think 3 times the rent. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good. I made 3 times the rent. I did what I needed to do, but I didn't have the move-in money, right? And it wasn't expensive at all. It wasn't even that bad. As I believe it came out to be between 17 to 1800. It was going to be a little bit more because I wanted a cat. But it wasn't that bad. I was able to afford the place, but I didn't have the income anymore. So basically, what ended up happening was I told him, I won't be able to have the rest of the money until give me about 2 weeks. No, that didn't happen. So I was trying to figure out what was I going to do because I was actually staying at my friend's for the time. I didn't want to go back to my mother's because I didn't want to be, it was just too much. It was our energies don't mix. They don't align, and my frequency is a lot more different. And this isn't to say that she's a bad person because she's not, but I don't know her. To me, she's kind of like a stranger in a way. And it's just the truth. So I ended up doing that. I was at my friend's and I was like, what am I going to do? And I felt like my whole world just came crashing down because I didn't know what I was going to do and I didn't want to go back there. So I needed to find out where was I going to lay my head. So my old landlord, she ended up letting me come back. Now, I will say this, in between that time, I did end up getting a job because I kept getting rejected and rejected, but I finally actually did get a job. But by the time that happened, I was able to have the move-in money to come back to where I am now to be able to move in and have, a room and a roof over my head. And so, fast forward, once I got the job, I also didn't know what else was going to, I needed to make sure I had some type of source of income coming in. So eventually I was able to get some source of income that was coming in. And, in between the time when I did get the job, I didn't want the job anymore. So I ended up leaving it. I ended up leaving the job and I was like, no, I no longer, because it's not something that I wanted to do, right? So, I say this to say that. I say that to say this. It's like, how when you just get close to something and you just think like, damn, you have it in the bag. But in reality, maybe something happens to where either you lose your job or, you don't know how the money's going to come in for you to be able to pay your bills. And all these things are just happening and going on. I really thought to myself that I was a failure. And I spoke to my uncle. Two of my uncles. One of my uncles was supporting me and giving the support that I needed. And the other one was just telling me how I was just a failure and how, at my age and me being where I'm at now, I don't understand how you could do that. You need to be able to keep a job. That's your fault. And, he was saying things like, well, you can't be in between jobs because this and that is going on. And I understood where he was saying and what he was coming from, but how he made me feel in the end of making me think that I wasn't good enough or enough at that point, I thought to myself, I genuinely do not trust my family. I genuinely do not trust my family. And I only say this because aside from my uncle and my auntie that I'm still in communication with, but anybody else I don't trust. And I'm going to be honest with you. I do care about my family. I do love them. But because of how I grew up and I was always constantly the one to be talked about, I got my high school diploma way later than everyone else did. I went to some college. I didn't actually go and get a degree, but I decided to get the experience of it. And I'm not going to lie, I procrastinated throughout my life. I have on many projects and different things that I wanted to do and things I wanted to actually accomplish because in the back of my mind, I thought that I wasn't good enough or I thought that I couldn't do it. And because of that, I always put myself in situations that would hinder me and keep me stagnant. And that was me. And I hold myself accountable for that because, at the end of the day, it was me that did it, And I hold myself accountable for not being able to have the money that I needed to move in and to, officially have my own spot. So I took responsibility for that. But in between that time, I want to say this because I had a talk with my barber not too long ago. I had a talk with him and he told me aside from everything that you've been through, look at where you are now. Okay, you don't have a car. You may not have your own place, but you have a roof over your head. You have the luxury to be able to go to where you please. You don't have to take the bus. You can simply take the Uber to wherever you want to go. You have transportation. And also, I told him about me getting my guard card and, things of that nature, me becoming a security guard again. He was like, look at you, you're doing things that you need to do to move forward with your life. He said, I want you to look at this in a different way and think that God bless you. Maybe that wasn't where you were supposed to be. Maybe you needed to be here. Maybe you needed to. Sometimes we get so close to something, we get so close to the finish line, and something happens or deters our path to where we end up falling off, or we end up having to take 10 steps back. And because of that, I felt alone. I felt like nobody was there for me. I felt like I couldn't reach out to anyone or try to. And I do want to make a separate video on why I'm not close with my family, and because of the issues and the things that the things that I faced on both sides. I'm not saying that to put them out there to say they're bad, but I honestly have always felt like I was in the dark, right? So anyway, he basically was telling me, you have to look at this in a different way, and you have to realize that you are blessed because you're still here. You're still, you're healthy. It could be worse. 5 years ago, I was in probably a worse situation than that. So, and I'm not going to lie to myself. I want to let you guys know this. I'm not going to ever lie when I come on here, because I'm a very, as you can see, I don't need to tell you I'm honest. You could just see it. But, I like to really, when I come on and I come on a platform and I'm able to put myself in front of a camera and say how I feel, this isn't because I want an audience, right? I know that I've lost subscribers, which is totally fine, and I'm okay with that, because those subscribers are not, they were there for what probably the content that actually helped them, or me posting about manifestation and how to manifest a specific person and things of that nature. No, and this isn't to say that I don't believe in that stuff, but I want to talk about things that matter to me and things that make me feel good. I'm no longer trying to find an audience. I'm no longer trying to, build like a network of people who will follow me because this is what I post. You know how when you have certain artists out there that rap about certain things, they rap, say if you have one artist people gravitate towards because you rap about hood shit, and then next thing you know, you stop rapping about that, you start rapping about love, and you start rapping about God or spiritual things, and you being spiritually awakened, and starting to follow your true purpose. People don't want to hear that because they gravitated towards the music that you first put out. They liked the music where you was talking about hood stuff, you was talking about killing people and things of that nature. And I noticed that a lot of people gravitated towards the manifestation because they were just looking for whatever they were looking for, and that's not me. I'm going to come on here and I'm going to speak from my heart and speak from my soul and from what I've been through, and to help somebody else. And I want you to know that if you are somebody that went through a similar situation or has gone through that or is going through that at this moment, to not allow that to make you feel as if though you aren't enough, or to allow yourself to feel as if though, you know what, I feel like I feel like a total failure. I messed this up, and there's always going to be another path. There's always going to be not another path. There's always going to be another door that is going to open up for you, and another opportunity. And even if you have to take a few steps back to move 15 steps forward, then that's okay. Even if you have to start over, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care how anyone perceives me, because a lot of people have I'm a negative topic in a lot of people's lives. I'm a positive topic in a lot of other people's lives. But I will say this, because of that, he helped me to see more than what I was seeing at that moment. I was seeing myself as not being enough, and I went back and I cried, and I spoke to my spirit guides, my ancestors, and I spoke to God, because collectively I believe in all of them. I don't choose either or. And I told myself, I said, hey, I said, I'm not perfect, and, I just want guidance at the end of the day. I don't want wealth. I don't want gold. I don't want none of those things. When I was talking about in my last video about Mami Wata and, powerful deities and, powerful guardians, I don't try to summon deities to ask for anything in return or nothing like that. That's not what I do. If anything, the only thing I want is to be able to just keep waking up and keep being able to do what I need to do and speak to people and speak for the people who can't speak for themselves. So I do thank my barber for being able to show me that, because I was really feeling like shit. And sometimes I still do wake up and feel like shit, because I feel like a lot of things have happened in my life regarding my family. I wish I could be close to my family, but my family is very dysfunctional, and I don't want to be close to none of them except for the ones that I already talked to now. And like I said, I consider my friends, the people who have been with me since day one, to be my true family, because in the end, my actual family has not been there for me. And I do want to say that if they were to watch this video, I don't care how you see it and I don't care how you feel. I came from, I came from a place of being physically abused. I came from a place of being verbally abused and always being talked about or looked at as if somebody that you could control, or, whatever the case may be. I've always been told I wouldn't be shit. So I'm going to be real with you. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why I don't communicate with certain people in my family. There's a reason why I isolate myself, because me, even being the oldest, you know, I still don't have a connection. There is a disconnect. And that's totally fine, because now I'm building my own family. I have my own family. I called on my ancestors. I called on my spirit guides. I called on the people that running through my DNA from civilizations ago. Because of everything that's happening, the stress and everything that's going on in the world, I called on God and I said, this is my family. These are the people who love me and see me, because I am divinely protected. And I see that God sent, there's a reason why I went to my barber. I didn't go there to get a haircut. I went there to actually to become spiritually awakened. I went there for a spiritual answer, and I was given that. And, I thank him for that. And I'm not going to put his name out here because I want to be respectful. But I will say, I do thank him for telling me, because I asked a question. I said, hey, how do you know you're one of the chosens? And he said, we're all chosen. He said, he said, many are called, but very few are going to answer the call, right? And that stuck with me. And I thought about that, and I think about that to this day, even as I wake up and I say, I told God, I'm ready to answer the call. So with that being said, I want to let you know that if you're somebody who feels like the world is on your shoulders, if you've been told that you aren't going to be anything, and if you know that you've worked so hard to get somewhere and something happened to where you had a major setback, to remember that it could be worse and you could be in a worse situation. Because, I still believe in that saying, God doesn't, what is it? God doesn't put it's something, it'll come to me. I forgot what it is. But even if you go through obstacles, you go through trials and things that you're facing, this is a challenge. And it's a challenge at the end of the day. I know you get tired. I get tired too. And sometimes I do feel alone. And I'm going to do a mukbang on why I feel alone. Sometimes I do feel alone. I feel like no one is listening. I feel like I'm always the person to reach out. I feel like I care more about people than I care about me. And I want to let you know, if you're one of those people who are like me, or if you feel like you have a connection, then I want to welcome you to the channel. And I want to let you know that you are now a part of the family channel. This is We All Family on this channel. And if you feel a certain way, you could definitely reach out to me anytime. You can reach out to me at my email, alizamills6@gmail.com. Or you could reach out to my Instagram, Sean Z, I want to say, or I'll put my information in there. But understand that you're not alone. And you are not, just because you failed doesn't mean that if you got back up, then baby, you were unstoppable, because that's exactly what I did. And I don't care what anyone says or what anyone has said. I am divinely protected, and so are you. Okay, I'm gonna end this video. I don't want to put tears on here. I'm a Cancer. I don't like people seeing me cry. All right.